Almost 11 years to the day since he'd played his first chart topper, Slade's Mama We're All Crazy Now was Fluff's last number one in the original series of Pick of the Pops. But to this day, a Sunday tradition started on Radio 1 in September 1967 continues. Britain's number one, whether it was from sales of vinyl, CD singles or downloads, is heard just before 7 o'clock.
Next Sunday at 4, that's Tom Brown and Solid Gold 16.
In October 1972, Solid Gold 60 with Tom Brown replaces Pick of the Pops, on air from 4 to 7 and playing singles only. Fluff continues his weekday afternoon show until June 73 and moves to Saturday with his new rock show, which becomes cult listening. Commercial pop radio comes to the UK with the opening of Capital Radio in October 73. Radio 1 pulls the rock show in 1978 and Fluff is out of regular work for the first time since the early 60s. However, Tim Blackmore, now head of programmes at Capital Radio in London, comes to the rescue of Pick of the Pops.
The BBC have stopped doing Pick of the Pops. There's no copyright in a title. So why don't we do a different version? We devised the idea of launching a programme called Pick of the Pops Take 2. The idea being that we would, as the programme had always done, broadcast that week's best-selling record lists, but we would also include a broadcast of an older chart for that week in a previous year, hence the title Pick of the Pops Take 2. And it was a phenomenal success.
Greetings, Pop Pickers. It's Pick of the Pops Take 2.
I think the success of the formula is the pure simplicity of the programme, that it is what it says. It simply is playing the pick of the pops.
And there he was, Pop Pickers. That was April Love in the middle of March there from Mr. Papoon, coming down to number 14 24 years ago, and April Love. And, of course, the other way around in 1982, the brand newcomer to the top 15, newcomer number one from the Associates.
If you are playing the top 20, the top 30, the top 40, depending which era you're looking at, then you must by definition be playing the most popular records. That was particularly true, I think, in the 60s and the 70s and possibly most of the 80s, where the top 30 or the top 40 was pretty representative of what people liked.
I'll smash another cup. Please don't start saying that, or I'll start believing you. If I start believing you, I'll know that this party feels too.
It became a natural way in which people looked back at the past. First of all on Capital, then the programme went back to Radio 1 as an oldies show, and then subsequently went back to Capital again, to Capital Gold, the oldies station, and then in its last manifestation with Fluff, it came back to the BBC, but on the Radio 2 network.
Well, it certainly is the start of 1963, that's for sure. The year starts with the country in the grip of one of the worst winters ever. The sea at Whitstable freezes over, snow ploughs stuck in drifts, thousands of animals dying because of the extreme cold and snow, and there's a double A side to mark for the beginning of 1963 from Cliff Richard and the Shadows, namely Bachelor Boy and The Next Time. And very smartly followed up without Cliff.
After more than 40 years of almost continuous work in radio, through the thrill of the 60s, the dropping of the show in the 70s, a new format on Capital in the 80s, back to the BBC and into the 21st century, Fluff decided in early 2000 to move on.
And incidentally, Pop Pickers, I told you that you're listening to the new look Pick of the Pops here, but there's one other change I think I ought to mention. As you know, I've been presenting the programme for what feels something like 200 years, and as you may have heard, I really think it's time to hand the reins to some bright, young newcomer. Let's hear it for the new presenter of Radio 2's Pick of the Pops, my friend, your friend, everybody's friend, the inimitable Mr. Dale Winton.
Thank you, Alan. You are a true star, a gentleman, and the host of this show for nearly 40 years. Thank you for giving me the chance to look after your baby, and look after it I will.
And for the next 10 years, Dale Winton was Pick of the Pops. So, here's a rundown of the main events for Pick of the Pops from 1982 to 2011. The show's restored by Capital Radio in 1982, playing the current chart alongside a vintage countdown. In 1985, Fluff presents Pick of the Pops on BFBS as an oldies show with two top 20s side by side. It returns to Radio 1 in 1989 as an oldies show, then back to Capital Gold in the mid-90s. Fluff's at Radio 2 from 1997 to 2000. Dale Winton presents from 2000. Tony Blackburn becomes host in 2010. When Alan Freeman took over Pick of the Pops in 1961, he introduced the first chart countdown on British radio, changing in pace and complexity as the show changed. The chart rundown isn't easy to do and takes considerable practice. But according to Tony Blackburn, it's worth it in the end.
Funnily enough, I didn't realise till I was asked to do the programme how challenging the chart rundown is, because it's so darn quick, and I couldn't do it. So I got my friend and producer Phil Swern to record the music for me. I took it home and I went into my little study and practiced it for an hour. And I remember after about 40 minutes I did one perfectly. And I thought, I've got it. And from that moment on, I've been able to do it.
Here come the top five. The Hollies up one with Bus Stop at number 5. Up 3 to 4, Getaway, Georgie Fade. Here come the top 3. It's a non-mover at number 3. Riverdeep, Mountain High, Ike and Tina Turner. Gene Pitney up 2. Nobody Needs Your Love this week at number 2. Second and final week at number 1. The Kinks and Sunny Afternoon.
And for Paul Gambaccini, Alan Freeman's countdown was the perfect ending.
The last 2 minutes of Pick of the Pops were the most exciting part of the program, other than finding out what was number 1. And that is because he did this charismatic countdown to By the Sound of the Swinging Cymbal. He was smart enough to know that it was a perfect piece for the delivering of information in short segments.